Well, good morning to you. Been talking to you about living out of the kingdom. I made this statement the other day. Jesus came from the kingdom to live on the earth, and he lived out of the kingdom. Now, I want to say that again. Jesus came out of the kingdom on the earth to show you and I how to live out of the kingdom. And Jesus was never need-oriented. Now, there's one place where the Bible talks about that he was going to feed 5,000 men, plus the women and the children. So they just, 20,000 people or so out there, and he's going to feed them. And they come to him and say, "What are we going to do?" And he says, "Well, what do you have?" Well, all they had was a little boy's lunch. I like to call it, 2 little fish sticks and a biscuit maybe. And one of the disciples said, "Lord, what is this among so many?" But Jesus didn't say, "Oh, I don't have any idea. What in the world are we going to do? We forgot to send out last month's appeal letter. What are we going to do?" Jesus, get this, never exemplified an attitude of lack wherever he was, because he was living out of the kingdom. Well, you and I living out of the kingdom, and we're not supposed to be exemplifying lack either. We're supposed to know that our God not only supplies all of our needs according to his riches and glory, but also, watch this, that wealth and riches are in our house. Peter came to him one time, the tax collector had come to Peter and said, "Does your Lord pay taxes?" And Peter said, "Yes." And then he went to Jesus and said, "They want to know what I'm going to do about my taxes." And Jesus didn't go, "Oh, I have no idea. Oh, my goodness. I guess we better go hold a big crusade and take up a big offering. Or we better do this or do that." No, he didn't have an attitude of lack because he was living out of the kingdom. Well, what does that have to do with me, Brother Frank? Listen, we're supposed to be like him, not just of him, and live like he lived. He came to show us how to live, and it's not out of a spirit of poverty. And I'm going to make some statements here that's real bad because I travel all over and I teach. Well, I had to believe God in advance for the money to get there. Now, I have also believed God to get there and not enough money to get back, and had to believe God while I was there, and that worked. But I've decided, we ought to have enough to get there, enough to pay everybody's expenses. In fact, I've started doing this when I go to Honduras and other places, that I have enough money in my pocket to pay for my fuel in my airplane to get there and to get back. And when a pastor picks me up at the airport, I buy his fuel, I buy his meal, I pay his expenses, because I'm living out of the kingdom and not expecting him to pay me. And when I go minister, even in this country, I go with enough to get there and get back, and it doesn't matter what they do, because I am a kingdom teacher. Listen, Jesus never had an attitude of lack, and you shouldn't have an attitude of lack. I'm going to say it again. He came out of the kingdom to show you how you can live out of the kingdom, and you don't have to go to the doctor when you're healed. You don't have to use a credit card when or your bills are abundantly paid out of his riches. And I've run over time. Hey, have a great day. Remember, Jesus is Lord. You are living out of the kingdom because the word works.